Well, I am super excited to kick us off. Thank you everyone for joining us in this session around building emotionally safe environments. I'm really excited to introduce Joshua Davies and Isman Tanuri as the presenters here, the facilitators. My name's Iris. I'm a customer insights lead at Miro. So really excited to see how our customers and users and potential customers are using Miro, and really excited to learn from these two as they're very, very active in sharing their ideas and insights with the community. So really happy to be able to hand it over to Isman and Joshua.
Thank you, Iris. Hello, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's actually 1 a.m. here where I am and where Joshua is. Joshua is in Hong Kong and I'm in Singapore. I had a 2-hour nap, so I'm pretty all right. So Joshua, are you okay? Holding up?
More or less. I did not have a 2-hour nap.
So in this session, we're going to talk about building an emotionally safe environment. And, we all know why that is important, right? You want to share, if you want to share in the Zoom chat on, why you think it's truly important to have an emotionally safe workspace, feel free to do so. But, in a nutshell, it's key to emotionally safe environment, sleep deprivation. So yeah, and we want to work better. We want to work in an environment where we are trusted, and we go to work happy. So that's in a big nutshell what this entire 1 hour is about. I'm gonna hand it over to Joshua for a bit.
Yeah, excellent. And thanks, everybody. And can we just post the board and naps? Thank you, Jenny, for suggesting naps. That is the biggest part of emotionally safe environment, is people having lots and lots of naps. Isman did post the board again. And again, feel free to poke around the board. One of our big principles is please just play around with the board anytime. Oh, I love that. Krista's writing the ability to fail without judgment. And actually, Amy Edmondson, who coined the term psychological emotional safety way back in 1997, which actually was that, I think that's the year before PayPal came out and the year that just a few years after Amazon was launched. So very, very back in the beginnings, has said that it's actually very similar to this. It's the feeling that we are willing and able to take interpersonal risk. And so why does that matter so much in these virtual environments? Well, I think actually, oddly enough, to go way back pre-internet, going back to Churchill, he said, we shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us. And I think that that's true with the environments and the workshops we shape and the conversations we have here. Like, if you think about it, if I'm having like a conversation with my friends walking side by side versus face-to-face, it changes the dynamics of the conversation entirely. And a lot of us, we're really, really entirely feeling zoomed out. We've got these walls of things. And so people are coming to this environment and they're not necessarily feeling that they can share, that they can take risks. And I think for me, the quote that sort of really sums it up is one from Lenny Scott Weber that says, if the space doesn't give permission to change, then it's too easy to revert back to what we know. So too often we're coming into these virtual spaces, these virtual workshops, and we're coming in with essentially what I like to call our webinar brain, where we just come on in and we drift on off. We go to our Outlook. We're like maybe 20% paying attention, and we're certainly not sharing freely. So what we're going to try to explore today through Isman and myself is we're going to be looking at a number of tools using Miro and things that work well with Miro to try to create spaces that more consciously shape deeper conversations. And with that, I'll toss it back to Isman.
Cool. Thank you, Joshua. Just let me give you a moment while I set up. There we go.
All right, I'm going to dance for another 10 seconds while Isman is getting set up. I'm creating the.
I'm just going to look for this screen over here. Okay, cool. We are here. Awesome. Just in case you guys need to. So some of you may not be on Miro yet. If you're not on Miro yet, on the Miro board, I'm sharing it again in the Zoom chat. So yeah, so a big, quickly, Joshua, introduce yourself. We forgot to do that.
Sure. In case you want to know who we are, you just click on the link next to our photos, our LinkedIn. So I'm Joshua, originally from Hawaii, outside the US for 20 years now. I run I'm a conversation architect, basically studying conversation dynamics. I wrote the book Radically Remote, which is all about virtual facilitation. That's enough about me. I'm more interested in you guys. So.
Thank you, Joshua. So I'm Isman. I'm based out in Singapore. I'm an organization development consultant. I work with leaders and teams, and my goal is always how can I help people go to work, in a much more happier state and a lot more productive, and going away feeling that they have contributed. So before we start the session proper, there may be some of you who have not, played around with Miro enough. So here's a good I'm going to do a bit of a demo on the Miro and the tools that we are going to use in the next 1 hour session. Okay, so I'm going to bring you to my screen in Miro. Okay, let's work. I'm going to bring you to my screen in Miro over here. Let's see. Oops. Okay, that's not working. Okay, Joshua, could you mimic me and then bring everyone to my screen?
Absolutely. I can bring everyone to you. No problem whatsoever.
Thank you. So
no problem. I
you
will
might
bring everyone to you.
You might be in Miro and you're not seeing, you're not moving correctly, right? So the device might be wrong. So if you go up here beside your share button, the blue share button, if you click on it, there is a navigation mode. If you click on it, sometimes you might be on a trackpad or a mouse, or if using an Apple mouse like I do, it gets pretty confused. So make sure you are on the right device. Click apply over here. There you go. The other thing is now that you're seeing many different pointers going around, is going bonkers. So what you want to do is, besides your avatar, like your image up there on the top right corner, there is the hide collaborators cursor. So if you click on that blue arrow, everybody else is going to disappear, and you are only going to focus on yourself. Cool. The other thing is that if you are, if you are in the space and it doesn't seem like you could do anything, the only thing you could do is move things around. You want to click on the select arrow up here on the left side of your screen at the top of the toolbar. If you click on it, you can start to edit the elements on Miro. So hello there, over there. So we're going to use lots and lots of sticky notes, and in this case, I'm going to show you where the sticky note icon is. If you click on it over here, there you got a choice of sticky notes. So you're going to click on something over here. Say hello there. You can resize it. You can make it big, make it small. You can duplicate. So Control D or Command D on your device. And you can cut, Control C or Control X or Command X. And then you can paste, Control V, Command V, and then you can get it back into the space. If you have elements that you would like to edit, for example, this text box, you can double click on it, okay, space, and here you go. So you can change to, hi, my name is Isman. On the left side of your screen, which the toolbar, it may look different, but there are a couple of icons that we are going to focus on. So one would be the emojis. So you click on emojis, you can search on emoji. So if I'm searching for sleepy, I can bring sleepyhead into the space. And the other thing is an icon finder. Oops, icon finder is not working right now. So we can forget about that this evening. But otherwise, that is the space that we are going to do today. This is a space that we are, that's all the tools that we are going to explore in this session. So that's just me sharing. So Joshua, let's see. Could you help everybody bring to my screen, Joshua? So you're on mute, Joshua. So
no problem. Bringing everyone to you.
Cool, thank you. So we are going to do this activity called Who's Here, and Who's Here. We are going to introduce ourselves in this space that I've created. And if you click on the, Joshua, can you click on the frame number 3? On the frame number 3. Cool. So you should be seeing my screen right now. So this is the activity that we are going to do for the next few minutes. I would like you to tell us your name and your location using a sticky note. So you can pick up a sticky note and then, say, I'm Isman, I'm from Singapore. Find an emoji that currently describes your feelings. So you're gonna click on emojis, you're gonna put it into the space over here. I've given you a few cards in the space. So this is step number 3. So find a card and then, put your name into it. And what you're going to do is you are going to pick up a card like this and you are going to put it into the space of your neighbor. So you're going to introduce yourself to your neighbor over here like this. And what you're going to do is you can also start a sticky note chat. You can start a sticky note chat by putting a sticky note. Hi, I'm Isman. And you can bring it over to the other side. How are you doing, etc., etc. Okay, so we're gonna do this for about 5 minutes, and you have spaces. We have enough spaces for 94 people on the board. So let's try it out. Please say hello to to the other participants, and let's have fun for the next 5 minutes. Okay, reach out and have a chat. So 5 minutes on the clock. Let's go.
Awesome. Spread out, spread out. There's plenty of room for everyone.
There's plenty of room, so yeah.
Yes, don't fight over stickies. We have plenty of them. It's always funny when we're doing collaboration exercises, especially when it's like a session specifically on emotional safety or collaboration, where you've got people actually going, somebody took my sticky, which is just, it's lovely. It's lovely. I do always love, one of the things I like about Miro though, is where you've got the groups divided up and that whole peekaboo effect, where even though you're doing a breakout with one group over here, you can sort of peek over and see what another group's doing on. It's one of my favorite things for scaffolding people.
And I always like to say stickies are free in Miro. But that's a problem too as well. People get overexcited and people are always over engaging. But it's all good, right? It's all good.
I've seen some of your boards. They're like covered in 10,000 stickies.
Yeah, people get pretty excited. I see some. How do you get an upside down emoji into the space? That's pretty cool, Daniel. Daniel from Cologne, Germany. Awesome. Giovanna, you're Minnesota. Welcome, Giovanna. Let's see. Kate, Kate Baxter in Melbourne. What time is it now in Melbourne, Kate?
It's even later. That's impressive. It's 2 hours later than here. So it is 3:16 a.m. in Melbourne.
Awesome, Kate.
But Melbourne, I've got one of my best friends lives in Melbourne, and he's been essentially on lockdown for the last 4 months. So plenty of. Ooh, we're getting some people are getting, so just as an FYI to Iris, we're getting a couple people with gateway timeout errors.
Let me.
My backup plan is always to pop it over to, and I prefer it in Chrome, but I'll sometimes pop it over to Firefox or Safari or Edge even as a backup. But usually if I do the reload, using Chrome too. Oh, strange. Was ist das? Meine Deutsch ist sehr schlecht, Roberto. I'm so sorry. But especially at 1:30 a.m. Entschuldigen Sie, yeah. Es tut mir leid. Hopefully Chrome will like you in a moment. Claudio from Brazil. Fala português. That's brilliant. Era professor de inglês no Brasil quase ano. I used to live in Porto Alegre, Brazil. A long time ago.
So people are still introducing themselves to each other across the board.
I'm just figuring out where people are at.
Dorota, oh, it's Snow from New York. Dorota in Poland. Awesome. What a global event we have today. 2 more minutes to introduce yourself, like look across you, you can start a chat on sticky note if, you can figure that out, be innovative. Yeah. Who hasn't got a friend?
Good to see Martin here. Martin has got a snowman in Thailand on our map. Good to see you, Martin. Oh, good, Jay. I'm glad to hear it's working in the Firefox browser. See, Firefox is good for something on occasion. I'm very mean to Firefox. I used to be a huge Firefox Mozilla advocate. Chrome just was so much faster and lighter. I really want Firefox to take it back. Take
But
back that
Firefox
crown. It's such a cool logo.
It's a DNA of Chrome, isn't it?
It is. It was the seed that led to Chrome, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Roberto, awesome. Glad you got it working in Safari. Yeah, the only strange thing in Safari is sometimes it changes the color of the icons, but I mean, that's a fairly minor issue.
Oh, I forgot.
Monochrome.
If you want to undo in Miro, it's similar as in a Windows or a Mac environment, is Control Z or Command Z. So, you know, if you picked something up by, by error, or you did something crazy, like, you know, kill a board or things disappear, just Control Z, it works. Cool, I can see people still introducing themselves to each other. You've got about 20 seconds. I got 20 seconds, 20 seconds. Ooh, wow, where is that? You can see images onto the board. Awesome. St. Petersburg, kid from St. Petersburg.
Вы говорите по-русски?
I have no idea what you said, but if it's I'm
No
hungry,
worries.
yes.
Oh, yeah, sure. Close enough.
So thank you everyone. I hope you've made a few new friends. You know, get connected on LinkedIn. You know, get to know each other a bit more. I'm gonna bring you to my screen. So Joshua, frame four on
frame
the Miro board.
No problem.
Thank you. Cool. So you know what I've done is actually create a moment in time where you are getting connected to each other. You're asking a little bit of questions. So I was trying to make how can we empathize with each other by knowing that, oh, there's someone beside me, and I want to get in touch and I want to know that person. So truly, I personally believe the first step of building an emotionally safe environment is to put ourselves in other people's shoes and to see the world from their perspective as much as we can. So some of the things that you could have in your mind when you're starting out, or rather when you're trying to build an emotionally safe environment, would be Miro is amazing, some of the great features, but not everyone can use it. I think 50% of people who use Miro with me still struggle with it. So go easy with technology, not just Miro, but with anything else. So always start on a step-by-step basis with Miro. I've done that. I'm pretty sure 90% of you in the room knows what Miro is and are pretty expert at using it. But there's that 10% or that 5% in the room who doesn't quite know Miro yet. So I did that demo to make sure that that person feel included in the process. And again, people learn and grow at different paces. So we want to accommodate that. We want to empathize with people who may take a while to kind of warm up and be really good at something. And the other thing is about how can we ask and listen, because there's only so much of stepping into other people's shoes. We may not truly understand how they feel. We may not truly have that same experience. But what we can truly do is ask and listen. So Joshua, frame 5 this on the Miro board. Thank you. So so some of the things that you can do in terms of empathy would be what I call activities. Like, for one, this is something called user manual that I kind of took from Atlassian. So what you can do is create a space before you start a session, or when the team has started to get together, kind of like going through some questions together. For example, simple things like, what's your favorite food? What motivates you at work? What are your values? When you buy a phone, when you buy, oh, no, not phones, when you buy a fridge or a TV these days, sometimes they come with user manuals. So that user manual, it kind of like is really helpful to help others understand how you work. So that's one of the activities I kind of like to help people start in a safe space. The other thing is, from Management 3.0, I have something called the personal map activity, where similarly you throw out some topics, and you might be familiar with the brain map thing. So using Miro as well, you can create what we call the personal map. And this is a way for people to get to know each other. If you're back in the office, wherever you are, you can do it on paper and you can put it up onto the wall. And a new joiner might come in on the wall and say, oh wow, that is who that person is, and it helps to start that conversation. So again, it is how do we create a space, or how do we create an environment where people are being acknowledged. And Miro is amazing for it, because it is so visual that people can very quickly get to know each other. So perhaps you might have some other activities that you do such as this. So if you want to share in the Zoom chat, that would be amazing as well. We are going to go to our next activity. Joshua, 6, please. Thank you, Joshua. So we're going to do this activity called the crowdsourced fairy tale. This is called the crowdsourced fairy tale, okay? We're going to, Joshua 7, please. The story starts with once upon a time, 2 facilitators walk into an online room and the story ends and they live happily ever after. Okay, this is the start and the beginning. Joshua number 9, please. Okay, I'm gonna scroll through this. So you are a character in this crowdsourced fairy tale storyboard. Number 10, please, Joshua. Find a space, any space on the board, and insert an avatar or emoji that represents you. And then 3 would be pick up or duplicate a lorem ipsum below. So there are not enough of those, but you can pick it up, and to duplicate is Control-D, and you can create a story. Hello there, and then you can edit the lorem ipsum, and you can create, continue the story with an action sequence. And number 4 would be, you can pick up one of these props over here. So and then you can put it into your story. The icon finder doesn't work, so you can use Google image search if you know one of the apps in Miro, or you can find something in the emoji app, and then you can put it into the space. Okay. So what we're gonna do
Even
is
GIFs.
Even GIFs, yeah, that'd be good.
Or GIFs if you want to follow GIFs or GIFs, whichever. We can fight over this. It's a GIF.
Okay.
I don't care what the creator says. It's a GIF.
Okay, Joshua, can you bring everyone to 6 again? Bring everyone to 6 again, and then I'm gonna start the clock for about 4 minutes and see what story we land. Okay, so if you guys kind of get it, so we are going to do what we call a crowdsourced fairy tale. There's gonna be about 4 minutes on the clock, and we are going to see what story we end up with. Okay, cool. So 4 minutes on the clock, let's go. So feel free to ask question in the Zoom chat. If you have a technical issue, we'll get to it.
Someone was asking how I did my slides in the background, similar to Ismat. So there's like a couple different ways you can do it. You can use the, if you've got a Mac, you can use the app, which sounds like I'm making a word up. App. Oh yeah, we can post the link to the board again. No problem. Oh, Iris, great minds think alike. Back to back. You can also just, so I'm doing it the easy cheesy way. I've actually just taken my slides and exported them as images and uploaded them as virtual backgrounds. And I'm just using arrow keys to click through. Zoom does have a feature to share your slides in the background, but I actually find in terms of being able to see people in terms of visibility, even with multiple screens and multiple monitors, using it as a virtual background ends up being crisper and cleaner than sharing your slides. So if I'm using Zoom, I'll usually do the virtual background method. Someone was asking that question up in the question board. We do have a question board way up at the top. So if for some reason you get ahead, feel free to poke around up there, or you can always toss it in the chat.
Thank you.
This is my favorite of your activities, Ismat. It always looks like chaos.
So do it well, guys, because we are going to sell this to Hollywood. We'll see if we can come up with some cash for this, and we'll share the spoils, okay? So I really like this. On Netflix, they buy anything and they make everything, right?
My friend is writing Korean sci-fi soap operas for Netflix. Like literally, specifically, he wrote for Korean Saturday Night Live. He's based in Seoul, and now he's like, nah, we're just doing really weird sci-fi, but it's in Korean, so they'll buy it on Netflix. It's awesome. I lived there for a decade, so
this is pretty close to Korean sci-fi.
It's pretty close to a lot of Netflix sci-fi, regardless of whichever language it's in. Regardless of language, that is, some of the sci-fi on Netflix is amazingly convoluted. and I can see a lot of tacos on there. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
I
much
see a lot
same
of,
as Netflix sci-fi.
I see a lot of coffee as well. Our hero drank 7 more cups of coffee to keep powered up to facilitate the session. Yeah, I think that's what I am. I'm on right now at 1 a.m. Singapore. So they found the magic ball and looked deep into it to discover the next day. A hurricane tore through the city and sent cats and dogs into the air, hiking together to the top of the farthest mountain. Okay, cool. This is the story. So we got about 1 minute, so let's fill the space. And this bot will continue to stay open. So feel free to come back and read the story, pick some ideas in the space. There's probably like 50 good stories in there that you can riff off, or you can go ahead and make your own movie or your own novel, for that matter. Before COVID, I never thought I'd have online interaction. Take out your handy facilitator license tranquilizer gun to use on the overly caffeinated tiger. There you go. Creativity.
Awesome.
30 seconds to put in space. Tacos, cheetahs, houses. Mermaid, is that mermaid or is that, yeah, that's a mermaid over there. You can see. Somebody raised their hand, they boarded a plane because we can do now. Okay, whatever you do, if it's, it doesn't look right, Control Z, I think you got it. And practice their language skills before arriving. 5 seconds, this is crazy and amazing. I'm gonna go back and have a read again. Thank you for creating the crowdsourced fairy tale. We'll probably give it a name. I'm gonna try and put this together, make some sense of it, and we're gonna send it off to Netflix. Okay. So Joshua, frame 13, please. Frame 13. So the whole idea of that activity is is leading on to this. The idea that diversity, and inclusivity is truly important in any, safe, any trusting working environment. But in order to do that, the first step is to actually acknowledge that we are all mostly working in a very diverse environment. So Miro is a great place to do it. Like the activity early on, everybody's got a chance to put their opinion on it, put their ideas on it, without penalty. And we have no idea what will come out from the space, but the most important point there is that all opinions, all voices truly matter. And we want to make sure that you are contributing to the solution, contributing to the story, even though it doesn't make sense right now. But the fact that there's such a space where you can share, you can give your opinion, in the long run, people are going to be a lot more committed. People are going to feel like, hey, I belong here. I belong here, and I want to make great contribution while I'm here. The other thing is that with diversity and inclusivity, it is truly one way to be a lot more effective with your problem solving, as well as when you are developing solutions. And this is fundamentally the idea of design thinking, right? With design thinking, it's really about how can we have a lot of ideas, the great ones, the zany ones, the bad idea that leads to good ideas. So how do we harness that? Is to truly to create that space that allows for diversity and a space where people can express themselves. And finally, the last point here is only with diversity, only being mindful, being intentional about creating a diverse working environment is when we are truly working in a way that nature is intended. Out there in in nature, the ecosystem is in such a way that there are diverse types of animals, of fauna, of plants, but yet it is a truly nice balanced system that thrives for eternity. Well, at least eternity is still like humans kind of like wreck things up. So how can we create such environment in the workplace where diversity contributes to its well-being, as well as making people a lot more productive and a lot more creative. Joshua, frame number 14, please. So there are many activities that you can do to create a sense of diversity and inclusivity. One of my favorite resources around creating interaction and engagement is liberating structures. Like this is an example of TRIS that I've done, which is how can you imagine the future that you don't want, and and then you work backwards, and and you kind of like avoid all the bad habits and the things you do. So to do that in a working environment, you need everybody's opinion on this, and you want to make sure that everybody's contributing to that conversation, so we can avoid doing the same thing together. Also, if you are in design thinking, you might be familiar with this. The 30 circles. It's truly about giving people space. In this case, I built a space on Miro with 30 circles and give them time and said, draw anything or do something that you can do with that 30 circles and see what happens. And truly, that is all about how can I unleash, innovation, creativity in people just by simply giving them that space and, making them feel included in the problem solving or solutioning. So that is my bit over here. So I'm happy to take your questions in Zoom chat. We'll get to that later on. But for now, thank you very much for playing my games. I'm gonna hand this over to Joshua.
I like your games. All right, thank you very much, Isman. And what Isman has been really trying to, can you please post the links here too? So just as a note for the links, so people are asking for the links, and we'll happily post some of them in the chat sidebar. What we also do with the links, just so everybody's got super easy access to it. Let me just pull it on up here. Yoink. I'm gonna bring everybody to me, hanging out here up the top. So some of you I know just joined on in just a little bit after I made a broad-based announcement here. So let me just pull you on up to my screen if that's all right. So this is sort of the entry welcome area that you're seeing here up on the screen if you're on the Miro board. We got a nice little bookshelf here. So if you get bored and you feel like popping on over here and sharing books, articles, podcasts, movies, shows, or other awesome links, please do. We've also got all the links, all the stuff that we're sharing today. We put it all under the Think link. So everything should be up on there. So you should be able to just click through and find everything in there. So it's all hanging out there. If you've got questions or comments, do feel free to leave them up there. That's just hanging out there. We'll check back to that later. But so Isman has given you an experience of different ways we can begin to create emotional or psychological safety, to create an environment where people feel that they can share, where they begin to know each other, where they begin to have presence. I'm also very, very obsessed with this issue. Like, how can we actually create different kind of conversations in a virtual space? And so I take it sort of from a taxonomy approach, like just looking at it from a sort of 4-part approach. So what I'm going to share with you all, really, hopefully simply. And by the way, if you can't ever see the Miro board, let us know and we'll pop the link in the chat again. Isman is monitoring that and he's on question duty now. So we've traded places. We've just kind of got 4 really quick things, one of which we're going to try on. One is around what we call priming with principles, And that's basically, how do we actually set up for success? How do we actually set up for success? Second is about this idea of leadership versus loudership. So are we actually having a session? Is the diversity board available too? I keep looking. I'm always distracted by the chat. Isman, I know you've got it. I'm sorry. Isman's got the chat. I've got to remember that there are 2 people here. I'm so used to seeing a chat and having to respond to it. Leadership versus loudership. This idea of, are we actually getting everybody's voices out there, or is it just gravitating around groupthink and around the loudest voices in the room? Also going to share a little bit on failures and fire starting. How do we provoke positive conflict? And how do we actually, celebrate mistakes and not make it something that's a problem? And lastly, how do we scaffold and create conversations? Some of the stuff that Isman's actually talked about already. So we're going to dive on into that now. Let me just pull something up here. Boink. Sound effects are always necessary when you're doing things. So I'm going to pull you to my screen again. And the first off is this idea under bring everyone to me. There we are. Under priming with principles, it's how do we actually set people up for success? Priya Parker, in this wonderful book called The Art of Gathering, she says the way we gather matters. So I'm really a big believer that we want to co-create what our principles are, what we think the guidelines should be for our facilitation, for our boards, all that kind of stuff. Thank you for spotlighting me, Iris. I forgot to spotlight myself. So I was tiny again. That's always good to do.
Joshua, can you share your screen on Zoom? I think that's a request from somebody.
Sure. Why not? I'll share my screen on Zoom as well. My only reminder when I'm sharing my screen on Zoom is every time I do this, one person tries to click on my screen share. Just a reminder, you can click. I know that Iris is laughing, but it happens every single time. So don't worry. If that's you, do not be embarrassed. I have done the same myself in a session. So just remember to click on your browser rather than the screen share. So yeah, I can share the screen share. Not a problem at all. That'll be easy. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what do you think are some of the guidelines we should follow. So I've actually embedded a Mentimeter here in the board. I've embedded a Mentimeter here in the board. So I'm kind of curious in terms of how we can create a psychologically safe environment. What are some of the guidelines you think we should follow in our workshops? So how we're going to do this is you can see there's this nice little code 8244760. That's your bingo number. And if you just click on here, it's going to pop on up. And if I actually am a smart facilitator and I've actually gone through and clicked on my Mentimeter and made it live, which I should probably do since the session is going on right now, you can actually go on here and vote. Oh, people are already getting it. So try it out. It pops up. So again, Mentimeter, obviously not a Miro tool itself. One of my favorite things about using Miro for creating a really nice inclusive environment is the ability to actually embed other things in it. I'm really tired of having people have to go to like this link and this link and this link and this link. I love being able to gather everything under one space. So it really creates a sense of a classroom, of a place where we have a space of ownership. All right, give people just another moment or two to post their stuff on up in there. We don't need a frame there. All right, just giving people a moment and let's see what we've got here. And I can just pop on up here. Oh, we got a lot. Chatham House rules. I love that. You can share stories, but change the names to keep it anonymous. No idea is bad. We got a whole bunch of these. People experience first. Yes, thank you. For whoever wrote people experience first, that's a great one. Just the idea that it's always, no matter how like shiny the technology is, it's just technology. I remember when I was teaching teachers, like way back, I know it's not that far back, but like early 2000s, every single classroom I was doing this facilitation at, they got like these high-tech boards, these like teacher big like projector boards where they could touch them. And within a week or two, they were sitting in a corner because it was more about the technology than what we could actually do with it. So yes, absolutely putting people first. Container building, no stupid questions, interaction is key. And go slow, remember the newbies, yes. Ismail was actually doing some of that tech onboarding in his session. And one of the parts of actually making a safe space is making a space where people don't feel lost in the technology, where they don't feel shame if they get something wrong. Because again, if that shame becomes involved, it becomes more about, blaming the technology and not letting that disappear and have it be more about the actual conversations. Yeah, so part of the ways we actually do this is by also seeking permission to engage. Like if I just suddenly started giving Isman critical feedback, like Isman, your board is terrible. I don't like your font choices. That has a very different kind of feel than if I actually turn to Isman and I simply say, Isman, would you mind if I give you some feedback? Or everyone, is it all right if we're trying to make this an activity session with participants, not passengers. Is it all right if we call people out? So just getting that permission to actually do that changes the nature of the dynamic. It's a small change, but it really opens up doors. As Emily Axelrod says, how you enter a space and how you leave a space is as important as what happens in the space. These kind of priming things that really set up the board for success are really kind of critical. Amy Edmondson, who actually invented the term psychological safety, she has, when she was doing the Google Aristotle project, she had this little checklist. I'm not going to go through all 7 things. It's just kind of there for a reference. But it's just this idea that at the beginning of sessions and as the session goes along, there's ways using Miro, as well as other ways to actually sort of check in and see where people are, to see how much are they following along, how safe are they feeling. Sandy Lamb actually had a really great session that she did, and she actually had like a physical temperature meter, and you could move your icon. You could move your icon on the board up and down throughout the session to actually match, how much were you following along? Were you feeling lost? And there's other people who have similar principles to that. Isman had his activity where you were doing and mapping out how you were feeling, what's your emoji, what represents you, to bring yourself to the board to kind of do a mini temperature check. And in the Miroverse, and I've included the link here, by the way, so if you just click on these little icons in the corner, it takes you to the actual link. Please do that later so you don't get sucked into the Miroverse. That'll leave you there for a while. There's actually some other really, really good activities there which can help you with these temperature checks. There's also some other resources. There's things like, there's a really good psychological safety cards that was put out by Swiss Innovation Academy, as well as on Session Lab, there's some really good stuff on how to actually do these temperature checks at the beginning, just to see how people are feeling, you know, just to really get a sense of that. And let me go back over and see what else we've got. Oh my goodness, we have way too many answers. Press enter to pause scroll. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Awesome. And last but not least here, keep open a back channel. So Isman's got my back channel. He's actually watching that in the back channel, but just simply making a note there that if people have a challenge or a problem, they can always send you a private message, and just opening that door up. So that's really what we mean by priming with principles. It's just this idea of how do we set ourselves up for success there. Following on this, just extremely briefly, is this idea of leadership versus loudership. Are we just hearing the loudest voices, or are we actually making sure that everyone is feeling like they belong there and feeling like they can safely share? Isman did a small activity on identity where people were really beginning to tag the space. And an expansion of this is this idea of how do we own the space? One of my favorite things with Miro is, like, if we go into breakouts, we can actually have different groups in different parts of the room. So, you know, we could have group one here, group one with this part of the board, this one, and you can send different groups to different parts, allow them to decorate it, tag it, take notes there. And it's just like in a physical classroom space or a physical workshop space, where by the end of a week or the end of a session, you'd have all these flip charts, all these sticky notes all over the room. And it really does create a sense of belonging, a sense of ownership of space. Some of the things that also go along with that is the fact that it's not just the loudest voices, because we can use like sticky notes and we can actually do voting on it, especially anonymously, which is super fun. We can actually get a sense of what people are really thinking, and it's giving them that safe place to actually share. So just to give a quick example of this, I actually have a voting session already up to go. I'm gonna click start now. If the voting doesn't work on yours, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. Voting works 95% of the time. If it doesn't, try to click reload. It should work. If not, don't worry too much about it. Basically, I've got these six stickies here. 8 stickies I can count today. It is 1:45 a.m. here. So it's this idea of which do you think is most important for actually creating a meaningful safe space, a place where people feel psychologically safe. Making the tech easy, giving everyone a voice, checking in, encouraging positive disagreement, slowing down, as I'm doing now, scaffolding conversations, so you're building one conversation on the other, or creating ownership of the space. You got 2 votes, you can put them anywhere you want. I'm just gonna give you 30 seconds to finish voting on that. So this is just a short experience of anonymous voting. If we really wanna get some stuff on the table, of course it's only anonymous if I'm not screen sharing. So I'm gonna stop screen sharing that for a moment. Otherwise, I can see you all moving around. Bum, bum, bum. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, done. Let's see the results. We're going to pull up our fantastic results to our voting. I'm actually curious because I've got no idea what people are going to say. Oh, coming in with 22 votes, giving everyone a voice. Oh, good, because this entire section that we're on right now is all about giving everyone a voice. And part of that is actually, you know, you modeling the way, acknowledging your own fallibility, mistakes, slowing it down. By the way, 2 apps that work really well with Miro is, for example, if you're using Zoom, if you haven't tried using Macro yet, it's a nice little add-on for Zoom, which really makes some of your Miro facilitation sessions more inclusive and meaningful. What it does is it measures talk time. How much are people actually talking? You know, how much are people interacting with each other? So it's a really good sense to see if it's really equitable in terms of how people are talking. Another one, which I've got, again, the links are just in the corner if you click on the little link thing, is Riff Analytics. That's not a Zoom add-on. It's a separate free platform that originally came out of MIT. And it even measures not only talk time, but interruptions, affirmations. So it has a lot of interesting measurements that it's putting on the conversation. If you really want to take a second layer and begin to analyze, how actually safe and open are your dialogues. So that's kind of the second thing. Last really quick thing before we dive on into the exercise is this idea of making mistakes. So Isman gave a great example here. Again, I'm not implying that your Netflix pitch was a mistake, but it's just this idea that it becomes just like an improv. It becomes less about, I want to look good and I want to come across as an expert, whereas I just want to collaborate with everyone, put it out there, and I'm not worried about it looking perfect. I'm not worried about getting the right answer. It's much more about putting something out there. So actually setting up activities that encourage people to not be perfect, to just get it out there, to diverge before you converge, is really kind of critical. So it's this idea that, until everyone actually feels safe, no one's actually safe. It's a team effort, not an individual effort. And some of the things that go along with this are things like constructive conflict. There's really great activities from Hyper Island on this idea of, if there's a smelly fish, you got to put the fish on the table. So it's just giving people the actual space to actually put that up there. And by the same token, if we can actually flip it and take on someone else's perspective. So these are just a few things on there. Harvard has some really cool things called visible thinking, where it's just little structured dialogues. Like I liked, I wish, what if, I saw, I heard. And what these do is they essentially give people permission to speak on things they might not already speak on. So De Bono's, like De Bono's 6 thinking hats, he's got the one hat, which is the essentially the devil's advocate hat. And we use this a lot in our workshop facilitations, especially in Miro, where we'll give that role to someone. And someone who may not normally want to speak up, may not normally want to share, because they've been given that role, it's given them permission to speak in ways that, previously they might be a bit shy about. So never underestimate the power of structures to create deeper and deeper dialogue, which actually, mouthful, finally brings me to the thing I want to try on. Isman already mentioned liberating structures. We're going to do a much simpler thing, just using conversation cards. By the way, Cozy Juicy Real, and I know it sounds like I made that name up, but they're presenting at the Miro Distributed later. They might even be in the room. They're amazing. They actually have a board on the Miroverse that is a mini version of their card deck stuff. So definitely go check it out. I've linked it right here. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at an example of this kind of progressive collaboration. Liberating structures are a whole bunch of these. And I know some people have mixed feelings about it, but the overall goal of, can we structure conversations that take it deeper, 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 and make people feel safer and safer to share? And I do believe we can. So what we're going to do in just a moment is actually send you into a breakout with about 4 people. And in this breakout, we're doing a mini version of something that, it's a revised version of something that it was a really cool research article called The Experimental Generation of Interpersonal Closeness. So it's a series of structured things. Unfortunately, it was relabeled by the New York Times, 36 Questions to Fall in Love. It is not that at all. If you've actually read the research paper, which is a fantastic research paper, it's really this idea of how can we scaffold conversations to have deeper dialogue. So we're going to try this out here. In your groups, it says right here, click on the link. The link's right here. And what I've embedded here is an H5P file. And it's a series of questions that hypothetically get deeper and deeper. By the way, there's 2 questions on each one, so you can turn it over if you want. But once you go forward, you can never go back. It's a one-way trip down the question lanes. So simple guidelines on it, not too hard. Start alphabetically by first name. That's how we've chosen the first speaker. You can ask anyone the question and one follow-up if you want. Always go forward in number, never back. It's not possible. And most important, it's 100% okay to pass a question or to pass on your turn if you're asked. You are by no means required to answer the question. Just smile, nod, and go, pass. Especially if you're dialing in from Melbourne, where it is almost 4 a.m. Fully understand, although your answers might be really interesting this time of night. So, Iris, can I actually have people be sent to the breakout rooms? Your directions are going to be here. I'm going to bring everyone to my screen just so everyone's gathered here in the right spot. And you'll just click there and you'll have about 6-7 minutes for this activity. Just a quick little try on to see where the dialogue goes.
Awesome. You ready
Let's
for
bounce,
it?
Iris.
Shall we do it?
We're ready.
There we go.
Thank you.
I left my breakout room.
Michael!
I'm
Nice.
lactating, so I just can't. I can't engage.
No worries. I'm gonna. Oh, do you want me to send you into one or no?
No.
Okay. We have. Oh, Julia. What a cool. Let's see who's missing in their rooms. Hey, Joshua.
Howdy. I was in room 10.
Nice.
So we're hanging out with McCall Turner and Jean Perlin.
Yeah,
Awesomeness.
they are both on mute. I think McCall's maybe working on something in the background.
No worries, no worries. Shall we bring people back just because of time?
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm
Let's
going to
do it.
close.
Awesome. Hope you're enjoying the session.
This is fantastic. It's super inspirational. Thank you. All right, they're closing in 60 seconds.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's way too little but time, but that's all right. It's fun anyways.
Give everyone a little taste.
That's exactly. I'm gonna spotlight myself. There we are.
Awesome.
Lala. I got to meet some nice people.
That's wonderful. Some folks are trickling back in.
Yeah, some people always trickle back in early.
Yeah.
No problem.
I feel like it's some kind of a warp when I go into a breakout room and I literally forget the assignment every time without fail. I'm
Oh,
like, what am I doing here?
yeah, that's why I love having the directions on the Miro board.
Yeah,
Although no
that was
matter
great.
how clear I think the directions are, I should make them clearer, which is always my path every damn time. My goodness.
I
should
love
go
your
official
background. That's great.
2020.
So wonderful.
Oh yeah, I can go for the. Well, there's the let's escape. This is the escape the room background. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're doing the escape the room background as we wait for the last few people. They're trickling back in now. It's the two Joshuas.
All right, I think we have pretty much everyone back.
Awesome. Cool. So I can actually, I'll put a link up to the questions so I can show where that came from. That was from, it's 1:56 a.m. I have the link. It will be posted. It will be posted on the link to that. The ones that are the actual question cards. So there's another one, and let me just share the screen up there. The ones that the actual question cards are on, that is actually, thank you. This one right here is actually taken from actually Box. Box did an open source series of questions on creative conversations. And this is just if you want to like physically recreate the feeling of moving a deck. It's kind of nice. It's not as fancy as what Cozy Juicy Real did, which I linked to in this nice little link here. But it's a fun little exercise in physicality and sort of that skeuomorphism, which I actually like when we're coming back into Miro a little bit. So last but not least, in order to really create conversations, we got to give room to breathe. So I know that you just had a breakout for like a staggeringly short 8 minutes. Hopefully just even from that little taste, you got the feeling of how we can begin to just build conversations deeper and deeper. And that if we have the patience and time using tools like Miro combined with other facilitation tools, it really is possible to create much more open spaces. Not perfect ones, but spaces where people feel that they can take risks, make mistakes, share both anonymously and hopefully not anonymously, have those constructive conflicts and ultimately have much, much better conversations. Isman, last words to you since it's 2 o'clock our time.
Yeah, I mean, experimenting. I think experiment your way with, how do you create that environment where it's trusting, people are happy to, to work together with each other and give it time for things to develop. I think one of the points earlier on that, can we create an anonymous environment for people to share? Yes, I think if you need to do that, yes, do it. But, as with anything, give it time.
Exactly. And we try to scaffold from anonymous to anonymous, ideally. That's one of the goals. Like psychological safety isn't about avoiding difficult conversations. It's about making a safe space for it to occur. Someone did ask a really good question. What if people can't access Miro? We use a lot of group dynamics. So the way we put it is as long as they can access Zoom and one person in their breakout can screen share the Miro, we're able to leverage, much lower latency, much higher and 2 a.m. much slower technology. I know we've got please do jump. There's another session coming up. If you've got questions, feel free to stick around, but I know that we're doing back to back at Distributed. Thanks everyone for joining us today. If you've got questions, stick around. All of our LinkedIn's and contacts and fun-free resources are all linked to on the board. So thanks everyone for coming out. And thanks Isman and Iris for being awesome.
Thank you, Joshua, as well, for being awake.
Hopefully you've gotten some ideas and inspiration. That's the goal, is just to give you some ideas on how to push it a little bit further.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll stick around for a little bit for anybody who's got questions. Are we able to, Iris, or are you going right into another session?
I'm here. Unless we
Thank
get
you.
kicked out for some reason, I can stay here.
Cool. No worries. We like hanging out with you at 2 a.m. So we'll stay another 5 minutes for anyone who's got questions,
That
or
sounds
10
great.
or 3 hours or 7 hours.
Do we have
Oh
questions?
my God, let me
on
go
the
into
board?
the...
I
So
think
there are
Snow.
lots
so-
of questions about, questions about saving the board for after this. Do you have thoughts around that?
So we are 100% okay with saving the board. I actually have to pivot and ask Iris of Miro whether or not we're going to be saving them. I believe we are. There was talk of putting a bunch of these boards into a place where it's easy to access. It is our hope. If not, send Isman or I a message. We both have backup copies of the board, and you're welcome to one. We're not keeping it secret from anybody. These are all built on the shoulders of many, many awesome, amazing facilitators. We've got links to like Hyper Island, Voltage Control, a bunch of people who are doing this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Thank you for an amazing journey. I had so much fun.
Thank
Oh,
you,
I'm glad you
Snow.
had fun. Thank you.
And even looking at your background, I see so much potential of building a world, and because the way it can embed the videos and also those little apps, it transforms so many other connectivity. Yeah, thank you.
But
Try
that's a
that sometime.
scary house.
This is an art museum. How dare you?
Ah.
This is my beautiful art museum.
Yeah.
Yes.
That gave me
And
a little
everyone
bit-
should go and everyone should follow Liz and Molly. Sorry, Liz and Ollie.
Uh-huh.
No, Liz and Molly. I got it right the first time. She's an amazing cartoonist about workplace safety. I know
Uh-huh.
it's really cheesy old school PowerPoint to post comics in your thing, but Liz and Molly's an exception. She's awesome. Good researcher as well. Anyways, it's on the board. Anybody else
So,
questions?
so there are a
we've
few
got 40
questions.
people left. Okay, yeah, what do we got?
Yeah, how do we do
Uh,
the link?
How do we do the
Thinking.
what?
The think link.
Oh, the Think link. Yeah, let me, I can show you how to do the Think link. Just give me 1 second. I can show you. So if I go over to the Think link here, you click the big button and it should pop up very nicely. La la. And it's got all the links just built in right here.
No, but how does a facilitator get it on their board? How do we duplicate?
Oh,
what you did?
happy to answer that. So I'm using Wakelet. There's 100 different ways to do this. I'm using Wakelet, and in Wakelet, there's, like YouTube has like a posting code, like you post the link and it does that. So in Wakelet, I can actually show you. It takes me just 10 seconds. So, oh, that's a lie, because I have to log in and the code is on my other thing. So let me just walk you through it without showing. So the big powerful thing is this little thing that says post iframe code, which is how you post YouTube and stuff. But a lot of other resources, including Wakelet, on their share button. So when you've created like a Wakelet, all Wakelet is it lets you just really quickly curate a number of links. There's a share button and it says iframe code or embed code. You just copy the code, paste it there, and it puts it perfectly on the board. So it's literally just one-click copy.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers it. If not, please follow up with me. I'm very, very happy to walk through. Let me. I can't sign up again. It's free to sign up.
I'm so sorry that I need to close the room. We're fine.
Gotcha. Someone else is taking over the room. I'm so sorry. Okay.
No problem.
You
It
guys
was
need
a
more
pleasure.
Zoom accounts. Sorry.
Thank you so much,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you,
Joshua.
Iris.
Thank
You are awesome.
Isman. We can find you on
Thanks,
LinkedIn.
Isman.
Wonderful questions, wonderful session. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, we're not hiding
Thank
from your
you.
questions. Please do reach out. Thank you so much, everybody.